Hey guys, I've got quite a combo in this bag here. It's a deadly one to some, so I thought I should get to safer places in order to play it. So, let's get it set up. Okay, first up, we have a Genesis. Seems innocent enough. Then there's a Sega CD. It isn't too bad, though some may say otherwise. But then we have the mushroom cloud that is the 32X to complete this nightmare fuel. Now since I have all this hooked together, you must be wondering if I'm playing a Sega CD or a 32X game. What if I told you we're playing both? Night Trap for the Sega CD/32X. It's the early 90s. Sega had recently released their CD add-on on October 15th, 1992, introducing CD-based video games to the mainstream. Sorry, TurboGrafx. One of its big selling points to the system that they tried to push hard was their full-motion video games, like the dreadful Make My Video series, Sewer Shark, and Night Trap. Those two games were originally made for a failed VHS console concept called Nemo. It never made it to market, so these games sat in storage until being brought in to be launch titles for Sega's new CD-based add-on. Night Trap started off not selling well until it was center stage at the 1993 congressional hearings on video game violence. Then the game just soared, and Digital Pictures, the developers, capitalized on the newfound popularity by reporting and updating the game slightly. And when the 32X came into existence, they had the crazy idea to port a couple of their games there too, including Night Trap. This version was released in 1994 and got more of a negative reception upon arrival, a far cry to the mixed reception it got previously. Now, obviously this game is more known for its controversy than anything else, but I say it ought to be known for more. It's got plenty of cheese, a legacy some may not realize, and it's got Dana Plato, fresh off of Different Strokes, and a couple arrests around the time of this poor gal. I will preference this by saying FMV games are a guilty pleasure for me. Some of these games make me laugh sometimes, but more of them make me cry. This game is on the laughing side, and I'm gonna tell y'all why, so let's take a better look at Night Trap. The beginning starts off like a cheap movie would, with logos and blood, and a blood-curling scream, and credits to set the tone. We're also introduced to the Special Control Attack Team, or SCAT, and they're very proud of that name, because it's shit. Lieutenant Sims gives us the rundown. Campers have been disappearing at the Martin residence, and it's been discovered there's a wide array of cameras and traps set around their house that we now have control of. Have they ever heard of a search warrant, or the no-knock warrant is very popular in this country. With that logic out the window, he also informs us that one of their undercover agents, Kelly, played by Dana Plato, is arriving with a new set of potential victims, and it's up to us to protect them at all costs. They should be arriving now, and we have to get going.
Looks like you're not up for this mission. Breaking contact.
Okay. I guess they wanted me to press a button by this point, so let's do that. Wait, what? Whoa. Whoa, what is happening here? What's going on? Oh god, no, stop looking at me like you want me! I have no idea what's going on. Who are these guys walking around the house? What am I supposed to do? What is that? What is this? Who are they? Oh, hey, ladies. Am I supposed to trap them? Yeah, there we go. Oh, possible 12 and I've only captured 2? How the hell was I supposed to know? Whatever, let's get another one. Why isn't it working now? What is going on? What do the colors mean? Now you see, that was my initial reaction when playing this game for the first time, but it's actually way simpler once you know what's going on and how the controls work, which I'll go over right now. First tip I can give you is you want to immediately hit a button after you see Plato's name, or you'll start at a disadvantage. And as Sims explained already, you only have control of the cameras and the traps, and that's it. You can move your cursor around to select a different room, then hit the A button to switch to that camera. I sometimes like to hit pause so I can see the rooms labeled and then choose the room I want, as it's kinda hard to memorize which room is which by the pictures. Now the house is being flooded by these weird walking humanoids known as Augers. They're what we're going to be trapping for the most part of the game, and you have to do so with precision. The B button is how you activate a trap in the room, but that doesn't mean you'll necessarily get them right away, as you have to wait until they're exactly on a trap. You'll have this trap sensor to help you out, and when it goes red, just gotta react and boom, you trapped yourself an auger or two. That is the very basic gist of how it controls, but there is still plenty more to go over, especially when it comes to the story. So the girls arrive at the Martin residence, I assume on the request of the daughter Sarah. Meanwhile, the family inside is being cryptic with the plans for tonight's events. And after a not so subtle wink by Kelly to one of the cameras, we get introduced to the girls. One of them also brought their little brother. Now he can't be as annoying as Jacob.
Back off, Birdface. You just better be glad I brought you along.
The only reason you brought me along is because Mom made you.
Shut up!
Yeah, I was right. His sister represents Jacob more. We go inside and get briefly introduced to Weird Eddie, who plays the role of the guy who knows what's going on, but nobody will believe him, and... You know what? I honestly don't know why I'm going into this much detail about the story, because it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme. Not in the slightest. If anything, these scenes provide as a distraction throughout the game, for if you get enticed with the plot, you could be missing augers elsewhere in the house. Not that I'm knocking there being a story, it adds to the overall cheese of the game, but I think it could have been implemented better like it would be with other future FMV titles. Not that those games were any better though, but my point is the amount of time you'll have to truly appreciate the plot is minimal and doesn't have that big of a purpose other than to be there or to distract the player from their more important duties of trapping the same augers over and over again. I would suggest looking up the full movie online or being like me and have a VHS copy lying about. But I'm not saying you should totally ignore the story scenes all the time, as you might miss key points that affect the game later. At a few points in the game, the Martins may talk to one another about the trap access code, and that's what the color thing is all about. They'll usually change the code to a random color every playthrough, and it's up to you to be there at the right moment so you can switch to the right color appropriately with the C button. Otherwise, your traps will not work for the rest of the game. But even this gimmick alone is kinda useless, as you can trial and error yourself if you don't care to be there. And you know how many times this gimmick comes up? 4. Only 4 times. Makes me care this much less. I mean, it's crucial to how you play the game, but not as important as trapping all of the augers you can, which will require a lot of what I said just now, trial and error. You'll more than likely won't know where the augers are on your first try unless you're one of those game fackers, but their pattern is the same every time from start to finish, so you'll want to memorize their movements and appearances as best you can, akin to memorizing those Laserdisc games and their patterns, though they may be more appealing and fun to play over this. The best advice I can give is that clock on the bottom right will be your friend when you're trying to figure out exactly where augers can be in certain sections of the house. We're at a point where we can look over some of the story. Plenty of shenanigans ensue all around the house, with the girls finding worrisome things but still completely oblivious, and there's some grade A acting elsewhere too.
Oh no, Miss Lisa. I can't breathe.
I like her a lot. What's her name? Christy Ford? Stole the show. I do want to compliment the actors in the game. While they didn't have a whole lot to work with, they still looked like they gave it their all. I especially liked Megan, Victor, Sarah, and even Kelly seemed to give a crap about this insane game. Even certain members of the scat team like Sims and Collins had their moments, though I don't think they could get away with a stereotypical portrayal of a Jamaican person today, even if it was a black actor doing it.
No. Everything is all right. Yes, everything is fine here. Yeah. Okay. Good night. Thank you.
Meanwhile, other characters are finding out all isn't what it seems, with Danny finding the trap room and augers by his own accord, and Kelly not being so undercover, while the other girls are still blind to what's going on around them, leading to the most infamous scene of the game. For the time, the bathroom scene was so controversial, not only because of the somewhat scantily clad outfit she was wearing, but because of what was presented to the rest of the world through the false eyes of non-gamers. Now, if you don't trap one of the augers at a very specific point, this girl, Lisa, will get captured by the augers by means of what looks like a choke collar with a drill bit. Oof, that has to be painful as hell. It results in an instant game over and a talk down to by Sims, and then you'll have to start over again from scratch. But not many thought of this scene this way. Some thought it was an elaborate way to kill the girl and not save her in any way. Now, I shouldn't have to explain why that's bullshit, but I think it'd be better to reiterate what the goal is in this game and how game overs work. As Sims said, the main objective of this game is to make sure all the girls remain safe throughout. You're not meant to trap them on purpose, but of course it might be humorous to see it happen, but that isn't the point. The sole purpose of why you're playing this game is to trap the bad guys and protect the innocent group of kids. They might not give you a reason to care about them, or they may, but you have to save them, not kill them in order to win. If one of them does die at their designated point, the game will be over in a heartbeat. The game does punish you with restarting, not reward you with continuation. How is that so hard to understand? Hold on. I need a breather. The game can also end a couple other ways. Most of the time it revolves around the girls, but there's still a few other ways, like you'll need to trap a good number of augers if you want to continue playing, as you only get so far without trapping the amount the game wants you to, and near the end of the game you can accidentally get a couple members of SCAT killed inadvertently. But I am getting ahead of myself. We have to switch discs real quick. This game was so advanced in its day it needed to be spread apart between two discs. Sega's monstrosity can't handle the power of FMV! Disc 2 comes just around the halfway point, but the status quo stays most of the same. Only this time the girls are getting ambushed on all fronts by the augers, and we need to rescue them when they're in danger, as we're supposed to. It's also a good time to make sure your timing is on point and are able to make quick switches preemptively to the next room, as that may be required at a few points. The game also lays a trap of its own, for at two key moments you don't want to push the trap button when it turns red at first, as it'll trap a supporting character as opposed to the auger. I'm seriously wondering what lies beyond those traps, as they seem to get up and reappear every time. Hell, even Danny came out of one unscathed, and he's got a laser gun now.
Why won't this manual explain any of this shit to me? Whoa, Brian, I think you dropped this, didn't you? Now hold yourself right there, bro. I'm packing my own ammunition now, so you can't be blasting me like this anymore. That's what I thought.
Finally, SCAT moves in to apprehend the remaining Martin family, who tell all that this whole house is meant to trap visitors and suck them dry of their blood, because if you couldn't guess, they're vampires. They feast off the guests their kids bring back home, and they also have a prerogative to feed the augers that are like half-human, half-vampire beings that don't have the fangs to get the blood they desire, so they have to get it through other means.
This is like the vampire equivalent to Get Out. That's not a comparison I thought I'd ever make.
The Martins get the upper hand over SCAT, leaving Kelly to fend for herself. And now here comes the hardest part of the game. While all of this is still going on, a couple augers are still loose. Of course you have to trap them, but at one point Kelly is trapped by the remaining members of the family, while another group of augers is in the hallway. And you have to time this perfectly, otherwise you will miss one of them and have repercussions for Kelly, as the Martin member you didn't trap will bite her on the neck, ending your game just at the brink of success. This can happen a couple times throughout, but most of the time you can prepare for those. This one in particular is so cruel with little error that it will ultimately suck when you screw it all up.
I'm actually pissed this game has some difficulty to it. God damn it, Brian. This is why Mom prefers me over you. Now what I'm gonna do, I haven't been able to get fully perfect all day, and I'm still struggling to perfectly time the last couple traps, even with Kelly's helpful yelling. I think this calls for drastic measures. It's time to get the cheat sheet. Actually, let's just fast forward this.
So after timing this trap just right by means of spamming the button, trapping everyone else is a cinch. Kelly will then congratulate you depending on how many augers you trapped, and depending on how well you did, and if you have a preference, you can trap Kelly the only time you purposely kill one of the girls as a bonus to end the game. It blows my mind those that criticize the game for this scene didn't cite this scene. Or did they get them mixed up? But that is how you play, and it's a piece of work to get through it all. I mean, that'll depend on preference, but the game in total lasts only a half hour or more, so it's a quick but funny experience. There isn't much to it in terms of gameplay. It's very simple once you know where to find the augers to trap. Where it shines is the over-the-top plot, which unfortunately is hard to fully enjoy without missing augers. but I still had a good time with Night Trap. There's just something about it that I like. I think treating it like an arcade game like Dragon's Lair puts my mind at ease more than just hating the game because it's a weird FMV title. But that's probably not gonna stop the commenter trolls to claim I'm a Digital Pictures fanboy, and I might as well wear this temporary tattoo of their logo.
Happy now?
The music was composed by Martin Lund and Sunny Blue Skies. That's a stage name if I ever heard one. And while there isn't plenty of it throughout the game, where it is present, it gets the job done. Most of the music comes in at specific points, like when an Auger comes on screen, or maybe when the scat team is doing their thing. But if I were a betting man, I'd say most of the budget for the music went to the title track. It's no wonder Megan got down to it. It's a real kicking tune, and it fits in so well with the B-horror theme, being a song that relates indirectly to all the goings-on through this whole film. Personally, the way this song sounds just makes me love it. One of my favorite tracks, really. If you couldn't tell by now this game was a guilty pleasure of mine, my love for this song should be enough evidence.
I was about to say there wasn't any, but that wouldn't be entirely true. If you just keep replaying the game, you're bound to see more scenes that you hadn't seen in a different playthrough. But other than that, that's it. Next!
I couldn't find how well this port in particular sold, but the overall sales figures for this game across all platforms in its prime totals around 400,000 units. May not be the highest number, but still respectable. As you saw, the ports didn't just stop with Genesis add-ons, as it was ported to the 3DO and a couple PC platforms over the next couple years. But before then, the original Sega CD game was subject to controversy for its themes and concept. As I said earlier, it was part of the 1993 congressional hearings along with Mortal Kombat, mainly on the basis of the false premise made by those in attendance to trap and kill women and the depiction of females in the game. Just goes to show fake news isn't anything new. Regardless, the publicity seemed to do more good than damage, giving more of an audience to the game as they wanted to see the controversial moments for themselves. Digital Pictures also took it in stride, making more FMV titles that were all very middling at best or terrible outright. The interactive movies weren't a sustainable gaming model, however, and the company would fold in 1996, lasting long enough to make one game for the Saturn, and just before they had some other interesting software due to release. Night Trap didn't leave much of a legacy over the years, as it kind of faded into obscure history. But a little indie horror title that you might have heard of, Five Nights at Freddy's, has drawn plenty of callbacks and similarities to Night Trap. Though its influence has never been confirmed, you can't deny that it took the concept and cranked up the horror to an 11.
Sorry, I had to do that once, but if you weren't awake, then I'm not sorry.
Anyhow, in 2017, Night Trap was re-released in time for its 25th anniversary, with updated resolution and plenty of extras related to its history, coming out for Windows and PS4 on August 15th, then next year on the PS Vita and Nintendo Switch, making Howard Lincoln's comments on the game never appearing on a Nintendo system during the Senate hearings very ironic in hindsight.
So, what What is my rate to play? There's an argument to be made that we could really live without a game like this, as it may not have a lot to offer to the casual gamer. But it's hard to say that without it, the industry would not be where it is today.
For better or worse, Night Trap has its place in history, being one of the most infamous FMV games for all the wrong reasons, and one of the games that made ratings necessary with video games through the ESRB. The game itself falls on the line of so bad it's good for me, with the plot and acting making it the essential B-horror flick that anybody could laugh to, but this time you can play it out and watch all the insanity that ensues. Several years ago, you might have not given the game much thought, but today it's managed to gain more of an interest and cult following. Hell, there seems to be renewed interest in other Digital Pictures titles with the resurgence of games like Double Switch and Corpse Killer by means of limited run games. FMV games haven't fully died out, as you can still find some excellent examples or the very worst in the genre, but they arguably can't make much of an impact today compared to this cult classic. I'd recommend playing this at least once just to experience the tame cheese it has to offer. It's what all those involved in the game wanted the most, with girls that are driving a ride getting caught in the night.
To conclude, I give this game a play rate of... gotta play. Finally covered all there is. Man, it's been a long, weird day. Mom?
It's not over yet. There's no escape!
What? You're all ours now. No! 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 No!
But that's only my opinion. If you have your own thoughts, leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others would enjoy this, share it around the web. And if you want to see more, subscribe. Anyway, this has been BrianTheBlue Game Reviews Night Trap for the Sega CD/32X. Brian here, want to quickly say thanks for watching this game review, as this and other content wouldn't be possible without you. I appreciate anyone and everyone who watches my videos from all across the world, but it alarms me that over 80% of viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. So I'd like to reiterate and ask you to subscribe as well as ringing the bell to stay notified. That way you can stay up to date with future content that'll appear on the Jacobians channel. Presently I put out new quick views and current calamities every month, and my brother Alex has a brand new show all about wrestling games called WrestleBound. You might want to stick around, as we're only getting started. You can also find me on a couple of other channels. I run the Starfighters Arcade channel, where we take a look at the history of our machines on the floor as well as show you our new arrivals, and on Millennial X, where me, arcade buddies, and family get into shenanigans playing, hunting, and reviewing games. If you want to explore more content, these would be the first places to go. That's all the time I got, but be sure to click the icon now if you want to watch the previous or upcoming episodes of Game Reviews.